Hard work has been praised for generations as the ultimate path to success. Yet the reality seen across the world tells a very different story. Some of the hardest working people wake up before sunrise, labor until their bodies ache, and still struggle to meet basic needs. This is not because they lack discipline or character, but because effort alone is not what the marketplace rewards. The belief that hard work automatically leads to wealth creates a false sense of security. It convinces people that as long as they are busy, they are progressing. Activity becomes confused with advancement, and long hours are mistaken for meaningful growth. This mindset keeps people trapped in cycles of effort without elevation. Hard work primarily exchanges energy for income. When the work stops, the income stops. This direct link between labor and earnings places a strict limit on financial potential. No matter how dedicated someone is, their physical capacity becomes the bottleneck to their income. Many people double down on effort when money is tight, assuming the solution is simply to work longer or harder. What actually happens is burnout, frustration, and disappointment. The system they are operating in remains unchanged, so the results remain unchanged as well. The marketplace does not pay based on how tired someone is at the end of the day. It pays based on the value produced. Value is determined by impact, reach, and the size of the problem being solved, not by the amount of sweat involved in solving it. When someone focuses only on working hard, they often neglect learning how money moves. They fail to understand that income grows when results can be repeated, scaled, or multiplied. Without this awareness, even the most dedicated worker stays confined to small outcomes. Hard work is often rewarded with more work, not more wealth. Those who prove they can handle heavy workloads are frequently given heavier responsibilities without proportional increases in compensation. Their reliability becomes their limitation. This dynamic creates a quiet trap. The more competent and dependable someone is, the more they are relied upon, yet the less freedom they have. Their value is tied to their presence rather than their ideas or systems. Effort without strategy leads to survival rather than success. It keeps people focused on immediate needs instead of long-term growth. The urgency of paying bills replaces the opportunity to build assets or acquire high-value skills. Hard work can sharpen discipline, but discipline alone does not generate leverage. Leverage is what allows one action to produce results many times over. Without leverage, progress is slow and heavily dependent on constant exertion. Many people never question the assumption that hard work is enough. They inherit it from parents, schools, and society and live their entire lives trying to perfect effort instead of expanding value. This unquestioned belief quietly shapes their financial limits. The reality is that wealth grows faster when thinking changes before effort increases. When someone understands how to create value that outlives their labor, their income becomes less dependent on constant physical or mental strain. Hard work should be a foundation, not a strategy. Without direction, it becomes motion. Without momentum, without understanding value, it becomes loyalty to a system that does not reward it proportionally. Those who escape financial limitation do not abandon effort. They redirect it. They put energy into learning, positioning, and building rather than just producing. Their work becomes intentional instead of endless. When effort is paired with understanding, the results shift dramatically. Time is no longer the sole input, and income is no longer the sole output. The relationship between work and wealth transforms entirely. Trading time for money is the most common income model, and it is also the most limiting. In this model, income is directly tied to hours worked, creating a fixed relationship between effort and reward. No matter how skilled or dedicated someone is, their earning potential is capped by the number of hours they can sell. Time is the one resource that cannot be saved, stored, or multiplied. Once an hour is gone, it is gone forever. When income depends on time, every missed hour becomes lost money, and every break feels expensive rather than restorative. This structure creates constant pressure to stay busy. Rest begins to feel like laziness, and downtime feels irresponsible. People start measuring their worth by how full their schedule is rather than how effective their actions are. There are only so many hours in a day and even fewer hours of peak energy. As responsibilities grow, available time shrinks. Family, health, and personal growth compete with income because they all draw from the same limited supply. Raising income in a time-based system usually requires working longer hours or adding more jobs. This approach increases stress while delivering diminishing returns. The body and mind eventually resist the constant demand, even if the ambition remains strong. Promotions and raises may increase hourly value, but the ceiling remains. A higher rate does not remove the limit, it only pushes it slightly higher. Eventually, growth slows again because time is still the primary constraint when income depends on presence. Absence becomes costly. Illness, emergencies, or personal needs immediately interrupt earnings. Financial stability becomes fragile because it relies on uninterrupted availability. This model discourages long-term thinking. Immediate tasks take priority over building assets or systems because short-term income is necessary for survival. The future is postponed in favor of the present. Many people become highly efficient within this system without ever questioning it. They optimize schedules, master productivity tools, and pride themselves on endurance while the fundamental limitation remains untouched. The marketplace does not reward time equally. Two people can work the same number of hours and earn vastly different incomes. The difference lies not in effort, but in how the work is structured and valued. When income is tied to time, growth requires personal expansion rather than structural expansion. The individual must do more instead of building something that does more. This keeps progress dependent on personal capacity. Over time, this dependence creates fatigue and frustration. The desire for more freedom clashes with the reality of fixed hours. Ambition outgrows the system that once felt stable. The time for money model trains people to think in small increments. They calculate earnings by the hour or week instead of by outcomes or long-term impact. This shapes decisions and limits vision. Even high earners in this model face the same constraint. Once their schedule is full, income plateaus. More money would require sacrificing health, relationships, or rest. As long as time remains the primary currency, income remains finite, controlled, and vulnerable to forces beyond personal effort. Hustle is often celebrated as the ultimate proof of ambition, but constant effort without multiplication leads to exhaustion rather than expansion. Working nonstop may increase output, but it does not change the structure of how results are produced. Without leverage, every gain requires equal or greater effort. Leverage is the ability to produce more results without proportionally increasing labor. It allows one decision, one system, or one skill to generate outcomes repeatedly. This is what separates growth from grind. When people rely solely on hustle, they become the engine of everything they earn. If they slow down, the system slows down. If they stop, the system stops. There is no separation between the individual and the income. Systems create consistency where effort creates fluctuation. A system works whether energy is high or low. It replaces dependence on motivation with reliability and structure. Ownership is a form of leverage that changes the rules entirely. When someone owns a process, a product, or a platform, they benefit from results created by others or by systems they built once. The effort shifts from maintenance to multiplication. Skills that scale are another form of leverage. Communication, persuasion, and leadership amplify influence beyond physical presence. One message can reach thousands, and one decision can impact many outcomes simultaneously. Hustle focuses on input, while leverage focuses on output. Hustle asks how much effort is required. Leverage asks how much impact is possible. These questions lead to very different strategies. People often resist leverage because it requires patience and learning. Hustle provides immediate feedback and the comfort of feeling productive. Leverage requires thinking, planning, and trusting delayed results. Without leverage, growth is linear. More effort produces slightly more results. With leverage, growth becomes exponential. Where small inputs can create large outcomes over time, many underestimate the power of building once and benefiting repeatedly. They rebuild the same effort every day instead of creating something that continues to work. This repetition feels productive, but keep progress slow. Leverage shifts focus from doing everything to designing everything. Instead of asking how to work faster, the question becomes how to remove oneself from the center of the process. Those who rely on hustle often pride themselves on endurance. Those who use leverage prioritize efficiency and effectiveness. One values stamina, the other values strategy. Hustle keeps attention on short-term survival. Leverage opens space for long-term vision. When effort is constantly required, there is little room to think beyond the next task. Building leverage requires upfront effort, but that effort has a different purpose. It is not meant to be repeated endlessly. It is meant to create ongoing results. When leverage replaces hustle as the primary strategy, effort becomes intentional, focused, and multiplied rather than constant and draining. Effort is visible, but value is measurable in results. Many people believe that working harder should automatically lead to higher income, yet the marketplace does not operate on emotion or sympathy. It responds to outcomes, impact, and usefulness. Two individuals can put in the same amount of effort and receive vastly different rewards. The difference is not in how tired they are, but in how much value their work creates for others. Value is determined externally, not by personal sacrifice. Income is a reflection of how many problems are solved and how significant those problems are. Small problems produce small rewards, regardless of the effort involved. Large problems attract larger compensation because of their impact. Effort can be intense and still produce minimal value. Repetition of low-impact tasks may require energy, but it does not necessarily move the needle. The market rewards progress, not persistence alone. Value often comes from specialization. When someone develops rare or in-demand skills, their EFFO becomes more efficient. The same amount of work produces greater results because it is applied where it matters most. The marketplace places a premium on clarity and effectiveness. Someone who can deliver results quickly and consistently is valued more than someone who works endlessly without precision. Efficiency amplifies value. People often overestimate the importance of effort because it is within their control. Value, however, requires understanding others' needs and expectations. This shift from self-focus to service changes earning potential. Results are scalable. Effort is not. One successful outcome can be repeated, shared, or expanded. Effort must be applied again and again to produce the same effect. High earners are often those whose actions influence systems rather than tasks. Their decisions shape outcomes that extend beyond their individual labor. The value lies in direction, not exertion. The market rewards those who reduce complexity and increase results. Simplifying a process or saving time for others creates value that exceeds the effort required to do so. Effort is temporary, but value can be lasting. A well-designed solution continues to produce benefits long after the initial work is done. This longevity increases its worth. Many people work hard in areas that are crowded and undervalued. Even extraordinary effort in a saturated space yields modest returns. Value increases where demand exceeds supply. Understanding value requires observation and adaptation. It involves learning what people are willing to pay for and why. This awareness guides effort toward higher impact activities. Effort applied without awareness of value often leads to frustration. The work feels heavy, but the rewards feel light. This imbalance is not a personal failure, but a strategic one. When focus shifts from how hard one works to how much value one delivers, income aligns more closely with impact and contribution. Discipline alone does not create wealth. Many people believe that the more disciplined they are, the more successful they will become, but discipline without direction produces consistency, not progress. It ensures that actions are repeated, but it does not guarantee that those actions lead to meaningful results. Discipline can refine habits and build stamina, yet without understanding the mechanisms of income and growth, it becomes a tool for maintaining the status quo. People work hard day after day, but if their actions are misaligned with opportunity, their effort compounds without reward. Financial intelligence is a multiplier for discipline. Knowing how money flows, where it is created, and how it can be captured transforms routine effort into strategic action. Discipline without this knowledge is like running on a treadmill. It feels productive but achieves nothing substantial. Many hardworking individuals focus on doing more rather than learning more. They believe that effort itself is the key to advancement. Ignoring that knowledge and strategy often produce greater returns than raw labor. Learning how to create, leverage, and invest increases the effectiveness of every action. Discipline ensures persistence, but persistence without insight often results in repeated mistakes. People can work tirelessly in ineffective areas and still see minimal improvement. Without understanding patterns of value creation, effort may be relentless but fruitless. Discipline without leverage also keeps people bound to their work. They maintain schedules, adhere to routines, and meet deadlines, but their income remains tied to presence and energy. They are disciplined captives of their own labor, unable to break free without shifting strategy. The most successful individuals apply discipline to learning and implement. In systems that expand their impact. They channel their energy into understanding markets, consumer needs, and scalable solutions. Their discipline ensures execution, but their strategy ensures results. Consistency is a product of discipline, but consistency in low-value activities produces low-value outcomes. Many people pride themselves on showing up, finishing tasks, and being reliable, yet reliability alone does not open doors to wealth. It must be paired with strategic contribution. Discipline can also be a double-edged sword. People often become rigid, performing actions out of habit rather than opportunity. They stay within familiar routines even when circumstances require innovation, inadvertently limiting growth potential. Financial growth requires adaptive discipline, structured effort combined with situational awareness. One must know when to pivot, when to scale, and when to withdraw effort from unproductive areas. Discipline without adaptability solidifies stagnation. The education system often equates discipline with intelligence, further reinforcing the misconception that working hard ensures success. This mindset teaches people to value effort over results, preparation over innovation, and repetition over creativity. Strategic thinkers leverage discipline to build skills that can generate income without direct labor. They invest time in mastering areas where effort compounds, such as leadership, negotiation, marketing, and problem solving. These skills transform disciplined action into scalable results. Many people underestimate the compounding power of disciplined learning. Consistent study and application in high-value areas eventually create opportunities that raw effort alone could never achieve. Knowledge multiplies the returns of labor. Discipline without direction creates busy work, while disciplined focus aligned with opportunity generate momentum. Understanding which activities produce meaningful results allows energy to be invested where it counts most. Wealth grows when discipline is paired with intelligence, strategy, and value creation. Effort without these elements may produce order, but it rarely produces freedom. Many people believe that financial freedom comes from working longer hours, sacrificing more, and enduring hardship. They see struggle as a rite of passage and equate discomfort with progress. Yet struggle alone does not create wealth. It merely tests endurance. People can endure for decades and still find themselves stuck if their approach lacks leverage and understanding. Effort is visible and measurable, which is why society glorifies it, but visibility does not equal value. The world rewards results, not how tired or busy someone appears. You can pour your heart and soul into a task, yet if it does not solve a problem or generate demand, the work produces little return. Most people operate under the misconception that more work equals more income. This flawed assumption leads to exhaustion, not elevation. They chase activity as if motion were progress, failing to recognize that direction and strategy determine outcomes far more than effort alone. Time is the ultimate currency, yet so many squander it on tasks that do not scale. Each hour spent working without leverage is an hour lost forever. Unlike money, time cannot be replenished or recovered, making its misallocation far more costly than poor financial decisions. People often measure success by how busy they are instead of how effective they are. They take pride in long hours and grueling schedules, assuming that visible struggle will eventually translate into reward. The problem is, the market doesn't care about pride. It cares about results. When income is tied directly to effort, there is a ceiling that cannot be. No matter how hard someone works, there is a finite amount they can produce within the constraints of time and energy. That ceiling becomes a cage, limiting both wealth and freedom. Hard work without leverage produces linear growth at best. Every additional unit of effort generates only incremental results. It is only when effort is paired with systems, skills, and scalability that growth becomes exponential and wealth truly multiplies. Many individuals remain trapped in the hustle mindset because it feels tangible. Effort is something they can control, something they can measure, whereas strategy, leverage, and value creation require learning, risk, and patience. The comfort of busyness masks the lack of true progress. Even high achievers can fall into this trap. They work tirelessly, take on more responsibility, and appear successful, but their income remains dependent on their personal labor. When they step away, earnings decline, proving that effort alone cannot generate lasting wealth. The illusion of security created by effort-based work discourages people from exploring other methods of creating income. People cling to familiar routines, even when those routines produce minimal return, because change feels uncertain and uncomfortable. Effort is honorable, but it is not strategic. Without understanding the flow of money, the principles of value creation, and the importance of leverage, hard work becomes a form of survival rather than a pathway to freedom. People who achieve true wealth understand that results matter more than effort. They focus on solving bigger problems for more people, creating systems that multiply impact, and developing skills that can be scaled rather than repeated endlessly. Many remain unaware of the difference between being busy and being productive. They confuse activity with progress, repetition with growth, and endura, CE with achievement. The distinction is subtle but monumental in its consequences. Understanding how to convert effort into results requires study, experimentation, and patience. It is not enough to work hard. One must learn how to direct that work into activities that generate leverage, create value, and solve meaningful problems. When effort is redirected from repetitive labor to high-value creation, the return multiplies. Time is no longer the limiting factor, and income potential expands far beyond the constraints of personal energy and presence. Many people fail to recognize that thinking determines income more than effort ever could. The mindset one adopts shapes the opportunities pursued, the risks taken, and the problems solved. Without a growth-oriented perspective, even the hardest work may yield minimal results. A person focused solely on labor will always be constrained by the limits of their own energy. Thoughtful planning, creativity, and strategic decision-making, however, allow one to achieve far more with less physical or mental strain. Wealth grows when the mind works smarter, not just harder. Income is a reflection of how problems are perceived and solved. The more complex and urgent a problem, the higher the reward for its solution. Working harder on insignificant problems produces little. Working strategically on high-value problems produces disproportionate outcomes. Many people mistake busyness for progress. Their schedules are full, their to-do lists long, but the results rarely match the effort. This confusion between activity and effectiveness is one of the main reasons hard work often keeps people poor. Understanding leverage is essential. Leverage allows one action, skill, or system to create outcomes far beyond what personal labor alone could achieve. It converts effort into influence, multiplying results without multiplying exhaust. People often resist shifting from labor to leverage because it requires patience and vision. Hustle provides immediate feedback and a sense of control, whereas creating systems and scaling results demands learning and long-term thinking. High-value skills are another form of leverage. Communication, persuasion, leadership, negotiation, and problem-solving allow one person to influence and impact many. These skills turn limited time into multiplied results. Ownership is a powerful tool for generating wealth. Controlling a process, product, or platform enables income to flow from the efforts of others or from systems already in place, reducing dependence on personal energy and time. Many remain trapped in survival mode thinking, focusing on immediate needs rather than long-term strategies. This short-term mindset prioritizes work that produces instant income over actions that create lasting value and scalable wealth. Financial freedom is rarely achieved by doing more. It is achieved by doing differently. Shifting from repetitive effort to strategic action creates space for innovation, investment, and leverage, all of which amplify results exponentially. Discipline is important, but discipline without direction produces consistency rather than progress. Consistent action must be applied to high-impact, scalable, and valuable activities to produce meaningful financial results. The market rewards problem solvers, not problem workers. People who identify challenges, create solutions, and scale their impact are compensated far beyond those who simply perform routine tasks with effort alone. Thinking higher transforms effort into influence. Instead of exchanging hours for dollars, one can create processes, products, and services that generate income independently of personal labor. This shift in perspective is what separates wealth builders from hardworking scalers. Many people fail to see the difference between being busy and being productive because busyness feels tangible. Productivity, on the other hand, requires understanding value, leverage, and strategy, which are less visible but far more powerful. Income grows when effort is applied intelligently, strategically, and with leverage. Time is no longer the primary constraint, and financial potential expands beyond the limits of personal labor, energy, or presence.